Today, I want to talk about the shooting that happened in Queens. In case you haven't heard about it, the police responded to a call for a deranged schizophrenic, and when they got there, the guy charged at the cops with a knife, forcing the cops to shoot him. Mayor Commie Mamdani, who hates the NYPD, held a press conference in regards to this, and we're going to go through it next. All right, so here's the press conference. The very first question asked was, did he see the body cam footage?
You met with Jabez's family last night and made a number of promises on social media last night, and I wanted to follow up on those. First and foremost, and I do have two questions, but I'll ask them one at a time.
Thank you.
Have you seen the body camera footage that we will all see later today, according to your promise, and what do you think of it?
So the question was, have you seen the body cam footage, and what did you think of it? Watch him read his response word for word. This guy's worse than Kamala Harris.
So I'll just first address this at large, and then I'll go into some of your specific questions. So over the weekend, as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty family, and I visited Jabez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
So it's clear this guy does not like the NYPD. No family should have to endure this kind of pain. He's talking about the perp. The perp who tried to stab one of his police officers. And again, he never answered the question. What did you think of the footage? Watch him continue to read his prepared statement.
Jabez has lived with schizophrenia for many years, and this situation underscores just how urgently we need a different and more effective mental health response system that will be safer for New Yorkers who struggle with mental health concerns, for their families, and for police officers. Jabez needs mental health treatment, not criminal prosecution by a district attorney. And that is why I proposed creating a Department of Community Safety to build a mental health system rooted in prevention, in sustained care, in real crisis response, so officers no longer have to handle these situations alone. While we have been developing this implementation plan, I have told my administration to speed up this work. An NYPD investigation into this incident is underway, and as you said, my administration will be releasing the body-worn camera footage from the first responding officers later today. And I've seen that footage, and shortly New Yorkers will be able to themselves.
This guy hates his cops. He didn't even mention the cop. All he did was tell us how bad things were for the perp, because in the liberal mind, the perps are really the victims. And are you surprised that he doesn't want this guy prosecuted? He tried to stab a cop, and the mayor of New York City is holding a press conference saying that he shouldn't be prosecuted. And he never gave his opinion about the body cam footage. All he said was that he was going to release it. Here it is. We're going to go through it. What's the first thing you notice when you look at this? Those steps are covered in snow and ice. So if these cops need to retreat, there's a risk of them falling. The other thing you're going to see is that this hallway is pretty narrow. There are two cops that responded, and it's so narrow that only one cop can go in at a time.
How you doing?
Are you called?
You called?
Yes.
You coming?
Yes.
Did you hear that? How you doing? Did you call? And she says yes, and then she invites them in. And this is important because the family is putting out a statement saying that they didn't want the police to respond. They only wanted an ambulance. But you could see that she's the one that admits that she called for police, and then she invites them into the home. Now pay attention. The first cop, the lead officer, is P.O. White. I want the rookies to pay attention to this because this is exactly how you should be handling a situation like this.
Oh my gosh. No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
See how tight that hallway is? I can't tell you how perfect that is. Number one, he doesn't take out his taser. Tasers are useless if somebody's charging at you with a knife. Number two, his instructions are explicit. He's not saying drop it. He's not saying freeze. He's not saying don't move. He's as explicit as possible. Put the knife down. The other thing you don't hear is his partner. And the reason why that's important is because sometimes when you're stopping someone in a situation like this, each cop would give conflicting directions. One cop might say, put your hands up, and another cop might say, don't move. So the perp really doesn't know what to do. So this cop is in front. He's taking command of the situation, and listen to how many times he tells him, put the knife down. Could not be any clearer.
Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
What else is he doing? He's retreating, right? And now look what he did. He closed the door. Remember, those steps have ice on them, right? But they teach you in the academy, and common sense says, try to establish distance. Distance is your friend, especially if the guy has a knife. If he has a gun, it's not really going to help you because he could shoot you. But if the guy's holding a knife, you want to put as much distance between yourself and that person. He didn't just back up, but he closed the door. Now watch him try to keep the door closed to prevent this guy from stabbing him.
Move. Put the knife
See his
down.
hand on the door?
Put the knife down. Put the knife down.
Here's the only critique I have. You see the body cam footage says P.O. White. He's got his hand on the doorknob. Where's his partner? Now, in the beginning, he was saying, move, move, move. He may have been telling his partner to move outside. We know that there were two cops that got there, but if you can tell from this reflection in the mirror, this cop's alone. This guy, P.O. White, he deserves a medal. He did everything possible to avoid shooting this guy. And of course, after this, he holstered his weapon and went and tried to render aid, and then took the perp to the hospital. And of course, Mamdani heard this and went lights and sirens to the hospital to make sure that the perp who tried to stab the cop, Mamdani wanted to make sure that the perp was okay.
Put the knife down.
He's still saying it. He's still saying it.
Drop the knife. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Even over the radio, he was calm. Even over the radio, you hear a lot of cops screaming, shots fired, shots fired. The perp at that point is incapacitated. He holsters his weapon and he goes over and he renders aid. This guy, P.O. White, I don't know who you are. I know you work on the 107. I would work with you in a heartbeat. You did everything properly. Now, you send a social worker on a job like that, it's a suicide mission. They would not be able to defend themselves. And it also begs the question, how do you know who to send? Of course, if the guy is armed, they're going to tell the 911 operator, and then in that case, police would respond. But as you can see in this case, initially he wasn't armed. So how do you know who to send? He was asked about this.
I really need to have a clarification
Please.
about this. I know that you talk about the fact that the police can respond in these instances if there's a weapon. But in this case, there wasn't a knowledge that there would be a weapon. There was, the charges were that he was breaking glass. And at the last minute when the cops came in, he pulled a knife out in the kitchen. So how do you determine when the police can arrive if the initial call doesn't say he's got a gun, he's got a knife? What do you do? And then if it turns violent, if a person's there without the ability to stop him, what happens?
Great question, right? How do you know who to send? Do you send the social worker or do you send the police? Watch him again, not answer.
So I think there's a few things to say here. One is a lot of this is exactly the focus of the conversations that we're having internally in developing out this Department of Community Safety. Additionally, I want to make clear that a person experiencing a mental health episode does not always have to be served first or exclusively by a police officer. It is important for us to have all of the options available, and that's exactly what we're looking at.
An emotionally disturbed person does not have to be served first or exclusively by a police officer. You hear that? He doesn't want cops responding because he believes cops are the enemy. This has nothing to do with him wanting to lighten the workload put on police so they're free to answer other calls. The bottom line is he hates cops. He's already called them racist. He's called to defund the NYPD. And he actually said that the NYPD creates and amplifies violence. He actually said that. So I'm not surprised he gave that answer. And he still didn't respond to the other two questions. Number one, how do you know who to send? And number two, what did you think of the body cam footage? Did viewing the body cam footage change your assessment? Watch his answer.
My job as the mayor is to be straightforward with the New Yorkers and also to inform them of updates. And in meeting with the family, in visiting Jabez with at the hospital, and in viewing this footage, it is clear to me that what Jabez needs is mental health treatment, not criminal prosecution from a district attorney. And we are talking about a family that is enduring the kind of pain that no family should, and an individual that has lived with schizophrenia for many years. And we have known of the need of a Department of Community Safety prior to this moment. This only highlights the urgency of that need and to be able to deliver it for New Yorkers.
This highlights the urgency for that need? Did you hear that? This idiot sees a guy try to stab a cop, and he thinks that this proves the case that social workers should be responding to these types of calls instead of police. He's going to get them killed. I know 2 social workers, Lana and Jesse. I'll just give you their first names. Great people and great at what they do. They just left New York City because of this. They don't want to go to jobs like this. They're not qualified. They're not trained to handle people like this. We keep hearing that cops are not trained like social workers. Well, guess what? Social workers are not trained like cops, and it is unfair to put them in that position. And stop telling us that the 911 operator is going to be able to determine whether or not violence is going to occur. It is impossible to make that determination. People could be perfectly calm and then turn into absolute rage in a half a second. Watch this video and you'll see exactly what I mean. So let me set this up for you. This is Dayton, Ohio. The cops responded because this kid's mother called 911 saying that her son was hearing voices. They know this kid. They've been there before. In the beginning of the footage, you hear the cop say, "Hey, I know you. We were just here." So they know that he's a schizophrenic. I believe there's at least 3 cops. You could tell from the body cam. There may be a 4th cop that just isn't in view. But the first 20 minutes of this footage, everything is fine. They've established a dialogue. They're talking with him back and forth, and the guy is perfectly calm.
All right, put your cigar out. We're going to go to the hospital now, okay?
Notice they're not arresting him. The mother is begging the police to take her kid to the hospital. Are you surprised to learn that he stopped taking his medication? Which is what happens in 90% of these cases. They stop taking the medication. For some reason, they think they don't need it. And then you have a situation like this. So you could hear his frustration, and the reason, I'm going to play it in a second, but the reason why he's so frustrated is because the first 20 minutes of this footage, he kept telling the cops, "Don't you hear it? Don't you hear them? There's people in the walls. There's people upstairs." But they know him. They've been there before. They know the mother. So they're just being very nice, and they want to keep him calm. So now they tell him, "Put the cigar out. We're going to take you to the hospital."
Okay?
Come on, man. Just put your cigar out.
Let's go.
Listen, it's a straight up open face.
I understand.
Y'all keep playing with me. Please stop.
Your mother is worried about you.
Please stop.
Okay? So we're going to the hospital.
Can I tell you, please stop. Like right now, please.
I know. I know.
As a human being,
I know.
I'm not that deaf.
And we don't want to take you out of here.
Please.
Okay?
And I mean, please.
All right, let's go.
I mean, please.
Let's go. Oh!
Did you see how fast that happened? Now we're going to see it again from that cop's body cam footage.
Please.
Okay?
And I mean, please.
All right, let's go.
I mean, please.
Let's go. Oh!
He's got a knife! He's got a knife!
Got it.
That cop is bleeding, and he's still able to assist these other officers. You see how fast things can turn? Now, I don't like the tactics. I think the cops should have tossed him as soon as they got there. I don't know how you could be standing next to someone for 20 minutes and not pat them down for weapons, especially if he's hearing voices. You know he's schizophrenic. What I think happened was this was routine for them. They knew this guy. They had been there before. And maybe they'd taken him to custody 5 or 6 times before that, and he was compliant. But today he decided not to be. But it just goes to show you how quickly this can escalate. And shame on Mamdani for forcing unarmed civilians to respond to these calls. They didn't sign up for this. They see patients in a hospital setting or in an office, not at a crime scene. These cops had been there so many times before that they let their guard down. And they were still surprised. They were still ambushed. They could not predict what this guy was going to do. You're telling me that a 911 operator sitting at a desk miles away is going to be able to foresee that violence? It's not possible. And I'm not knocking social workers. I think they're great and they're vital to our society. We had one work with our family. Jen, if you're watching, thank you for getting us through it. Social workers could help in many, many areas. If you are grieving the loss of a loved one, if you're going through a bad divorce, if you have problems with your children, if your kids are getting bullied, social workers can help you get through it. They are very, very important. But people aren't calling 911 for jobs like that. They're calling 911 because people are schizophrenic or they're suicidal. And you cannot send them on jobs like that. You saw how quickly it escalated. By the way, this guy, Tyler Patrick, he was sentenced to 8 to 12 years for stabbing that cop in the neck. But Mamdani doesn't even believe that the guy who tried to stab the cop in Queens should be prosecuted because he hates cops. I'm telling you, that is the bottom line. He hates his NYPD. That's all I got for you on this video. I'm trying to keep the videos a little shorter to be mindful of your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying to the end. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It'll motivate me to make more videos. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video.
Police do not create safety. For many, many people across this city and this state, police actually create and amplify violence. And it is very important to speak about that reality that many people have because it pushes up against the conventional understanding of police who are seen to be people who come to resolve violence.